Congressman Todd Akin making headlines once again this week. He is now under fire after suggesting that his Democratic rival, Senator Claire McCaskill, has been more ladylike in past campaigns compared to their current contest. Here's how Senator McCaskill responded on MSNBC's Hardball just last night.
This is somebody who does make Michelle Bachmann look like a hippie. I mean, he is that far on the fringe.
Let's bring back our panel. Political reporter for Call Shira Toeplitz and the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times, Lynn Sweet. Good afternoon to both of you. Thanks again for coming back, ladies. Let me start with you, Shira, because here's the thing. On the outside, looking in, you would think that Todd Akin would have been dead in the water after his first incident. What's happening here? What are we missing about Missouri?
Well, Missouri is a conservative state, first of all. Claire McCaskill only won by a couple points, a pretty slim margin anyway 6 years ago. But also the Obama campaign, the national campaigns are not playing here at all, which means the Senate race is pretty much one of the biggest games in town. And when you have that kind of dynamic, interesting things can happen. A couple reporters were out there this week and noted there were signs of life in the Akin campaign. And I've talked to a couple Republicans who say they've seen internal polls with Todd Akin within a couple points of Claire McCaskill. Still trailing, but within just a couple points of her.
Lynn, about a month ago, it seemed like just even all Republicans were running as far away from Congressman Akin as they could get. But this week, looks like things are starting to change for him with regards to support inside the party. The National Republican Senatorial Committee releasing this statement saying in part, quote, Todd Akin is a far more preferable candidate than liberal Senator Claire McCaskill. As with every Republican Senate candidate, we hope Todd Akin wins in November, and we will continue to monitor this race closely in the days ahead. We also saw Missouri state Republicans coming out in support for Akin. Senator Jim DeMint, Rick Santorum also releasing a statement of support. Newt Gingrich in Missouri campaigning with Akin this week. What's changed there for all of these supporters? What are they saying?
Well, what changed is that Akin, now it turns out correctly, declined to drop out until there is evidence that he was dead in the water, and he was on the ground. He knew that there was a potential path to just not drown in his own ill-advised comments about women and rape. And that's why it is a lesson in politics that if you think you have a chance, don't let others talk you into quitting. I mean, there's something to be said about that, and surely the Republicans would rather have a Republican from Missouri than Claire McCaskill. And this is the time in the campaign when reality sets in and all is forgiven. And if he can demonstrate through polls that he is viable, then money will flow. Don't expect Romney or Ryan necessarily to come to his rescue. They've got their own campaigns. They can't get connected with him. But other Republicans have nothing to lose in helping him out.
Sure, if the Republicans start to fully support Akin again, does this play into the gender gap politics that we've seen nationally? I mean, is this something that could push more women toward President Obama and away from Mitt Romney in November?
Perhaps. What we saw this week already was Senate Democrats were trying to use this as a wedge issue. The fact that Senate Republicans were kind of hedging on their statement that they weren't going to support Todd Akin. They were trying to push that on other Republican Senate candidates running in more liberal areas. For example, Linda McMahon in Connecticut or Scott Brown in Massachusetts. They were trying to use it to divide the Republican Party, and somewhat effectively.
Lynn, I want to, before I let you get out of here, you cover Chicago politics very closely. I came across the article about Jesse Jackson Jr., and we haven't seen him in a while. He's held that seat since 1995. Some are saying that as long as Congressman Jackson has a pulse, he will win that district. It seems kind of surprising for those of us outside Chicago. Is he a shoe-in at this point?
Well, let me explain, because I've been reporting this for some time, that even though no one has seen him in public since June 16th, when he checked himself into the emergency room at George Washington Hospital, he really has nominal opposition. It is a heavily Democratic district. He has a war chest of, as of June, it was $900,000. And while there is an independent out there and a Republican nominee, they have raised virtually no money and are not running real campaigns. However, there is a demand for Jackson to be seen before Election Day.
Roll calls, Shira Toeplitz, Chicago Sun-Times, Lynn Sweet. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday. Appreciate your time.